everyone. Welcome to Meet the Healers. I'm Lori Krine, and today I'm so excited to have Alyse Ostis. Is that how you say your last name?
Ostis.
Ostis. Okay. On the show. And Alyse she does acupuncture and intuitive healing. She releases or clears energy blocks by using a combination of these two things. Good to see you.
Hi. Nice to see you too, Lori.
How did you get started on this path?
So I started off as a paramedic many years ago. And while I was a paramedic, I was sort of like a mismatch for being a paramedic. Very sensitive, very intuitive. And I had this woman, I guess you'd call her a psychic healer, say to me, you're carrying such and such in your ovaries, or you've got da 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 da. And I was like, wow, that's so weird and interesting. I couldn't quite relate to it. But at the same time, the other thing that happened is I started doing yoga. And I had this amazing yoga teacher, and he would say, well, if we're going to do heart openings, you may feel more vulnerable afterwards. And I would. And I was matching up what he was saying to my experience of the body as it was opening my body. And it really brought me a lot of happiness because it brought me a lot of clearing. So I think just the combination of that was kind of my doorway into this. So when I started to transport patients that were very sick, like tumors and that sort of thing, and I was just transporting them. And I would just say, can I put my hand on your belly, or can I put my hand on you? And I would start to feel the energy move underneath my hand. And I just found it fascinating. I just went into meditation, and that was just my journey into this discovery of more how I picked up energy. My discovery was about myself. Like, I always felt like I got so clouded and bombarded with so much that was around me. So I started to be able to fine tune it and put names on it and actually speak it to people. And I would get a lot of validation. Oh, how did you know? And then I became a massage therapist. And then that was the whole discovery of how do you clear energy? Like, how do you move it from the body? And some of it was my discovery of how am I picking it up and how do I clear it from myself, as well as the person, because sometimes they walk out feeling great and I didn't. It was my self-discovery, but also it always starts with self. And then you can like share it then with the people you work with, but it doesn't start with fixing other people. It's more like, how am I picking up? How are we in this together? What is this? What is your experience of this? And then it goes into who heals faster and how do people heal faster. As you could kind of imagine that people who heal faster are people who are their own self-advocates. So if they have victim energy, they're wanting to clear it, like taking personal responsibility and then utilizing their practitioners to help them, not
Right.
that thinking that other people are going to heal them for them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's a common theme that I've learned from talking to a few different people already on these interviews is that people have to take responsibility for their own healing, and the people like you are there to sort of coach them through it and to help them through it, help them identify what areas they need to work on or what things they need to change. I did have a massage from Alyse when she was doing massage, I don't know, it was a number of years ago, and I think that was the best massage that I have ever had. It was incredible.
Any of you have gotten massages out there, you know that a good massage, just like any modality, is about the match of you and the practitioner. If you can trust the practitioner, then, and the practitioner doesn't just do a cookbook massage, but really tunes into the body. Like, it's just like a friend, like, oh, I feel seen, like with my body, with myself. I feel like I can be vulnerable and I'm fine. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a big part of it. I know, and I can tell the difference now between a cookie cutter massage, which sometimes that's just all you can do.
Yeah, that's right.
And having a
That's right.
deeper, like more connected massage that is really transformative. So what is it that you love the most?
Yeah.
What is it like that brings you that most joy for what you do?
like when I have the feeling that someone is clear and they feel like they can breathe, like, okay, yeah, that's better. Of course, like with acupuncture, someone walks out, God, oh my God, I feel so much better. My knee can move. Then there's that more of the emotional component to it, which someone can feel like, okay, yeah, I've got my answers. Like, oh yeah, I've got it. I've got this, whatever it is for them. So
Mhm.
there's that feeling of, okay, they're like pristine. They're walking out and they've got it. So I like that feeling,
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
like every practitioner is going to have patients where you're like, I wonder what they got from that. I wonder how they did with that. And you don't always know. I mean, sometimes people I could not see someone for ages and they could come back and say, oh my God, that really helped. I'm like, really? I'm like, great, But sometimes you don't know as a practitioner, how, especially as an acupuncturist, because if you see somebody and you don't see them again, you don't know. I mean, I'd be like, yeah, throw me a text, let me know how you did, but they don't always, and then I have to just let go.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's like nice to have that kind of personal connection with people where they feel like they can text you and say, oh yeah, da da da, and this is what happened, and I'm doing great, or do you have a suggestion for this? And I don't mind that extra time,
Hmm.
just because it helps me feel more connected with the person and the work we did together. And then it helps me to improve if there's something that needs to be improved.
So you
Mm.
started off with doing massage, and then you moved into. Did you move into intuitive healing next, or acupuncture? And how? Like,
Yeah,
what was the
so
transition there?
I was a paramedic and a very unhappy one. I mean, I
Yeah.
was just sort of like going against the grain. I was the granola girl of the paramedics. I didn't quite fit in. And people would come into the hospital for back pain, and I'm like, "Did you hear about chiropractic, or have you?" And I wasn't really allowed to do that. And then I would see some of the same people coming in, so it just felt like God, there must be more effective ways to work with this. There is a place for Western medicine. I am not one of those who thinks Western medicine isn't valuable. I absolutely think it's valuable. But I think so many other diseases in functional medicine belong to acupuncture. I mean, like, of course, I'm like, Chinese medicine rocks. If you've not tried it, it's amazing because it's just all encompassing. But then at that time, I went into more intuitive because I was in that discovery of myself.
Talk about functional medicine. I don't know if everybody knows what that means. Can you explain a little bit about what functional medicine is?
Functional medicine is when people have complaints, but Western medicine can't find it. Like, I just don't feel good. I'm just fatigued. It can be digestive issues without being necessarily Crohn's or IBS, or, I mean, even IBS is functional medicine, so I take that back. I was thinking of colitis, and going into more extreme scenarios where it could be diagnosed. But functional medicine has to do with how our lifestyle, on all kinds of levels, is affecting the way we feel. And that can be diet related. It can be having to do with the leaky gut. It can be having to do with so many aspects. I mean, if people are staying in stressful situations, that can begin to affect us physically. It's helping people to put those pieces together of what the core source could be of their discomfort.
If we start to feel that way, we don't feel right, we're having some like aches and pains here and there, and like you said, being tired, and we go see you or a functional medicine practitioner, and we can change like the dietary or some other aspects of our lives, maybe environmental or could be a number of things. The idea there is to sort of head it off at the pass. So to get to working on these things before you have cancer or before you have heart disease or whatever it is. Because if you let these things go, if you don't feel right and you just like, well, you go to the regular doctor and there's nothing really wrong with you, and you just let it go, let it go, let it go, eventually they're going to find something wrong, because these habits that we develop over time, eating the wrong foods or whatever it is, eventually it's going to catch up with us, and then we will have some kind of a, disease, so to speak. So the idea here, it sounds like it's a kind of change things in our lives before that happens. Is that?
Yeah, I think that, yes, and people don't think that there's constitutional elements in what they're eating. And, they don't realize that certain things are inflaming to their gut or causing them more anxiety. Even what we eat and put in our bodies can do that. There's sometimes a dissociation with, yes, I have a lot of stress in my life, but I'll deal with it because that's what I do. It's like, well, you can't do that forever. You can do that for a little while, especially when you're young. It's just like people who, when we're young and we go out and we drink too much, and the next day we're like not feeling that great. But when we get in our 50s, we can't really hang with that at all anymore. So our levels of qi, which we call in Chinese medicine, the energy, our source, we have to protect that. It's like a bank account. We have to keep the bank account full and not use too much of that bank account.
And we can function fairly well, even though we're not eating right and we don't feel the greatest. We can still get on with our day. We can push through it. We can show up at the office, and do whatever we have to do. So our bodies don't shut down right away when we're eating like crappy food, for example. We might have some symptoms. We can still like function. So the human body is so resilient in the short term, it seems. It's just a cumulative effect. And eventually it does catch up to us, like you said.
It does. And what we consider normal may not be normal. It's not
Yeah.
normal to feel bad. It's not normal to feel fatigued. It's not normal to feel bloated or gaseous or, it's like how people feel after a Thanksgiving dinner. A lot of people just are like, yeah, I eat and I just crash. Well, that's not good. It's not good to eat and crash. It's like, what are you eating that's making you crash? People get very connected to their diseases and to what's going on. I had one patient who came in, she had symptoms of Parkinson's. As I worked with her doing acupuncture, I said, well, I think I can help you with this. And as I worked with her, she had a relationship with her husband where it was the first time she started getting energy from him. And everybody in her family was affected by her relationship with her and her husband. Her kids had anxiety, but I really think that their relationship and how she was and her anxiety and her angst and her not being happy really fed into the kids not being happy. When she got sick and then she did get diagnosed with Parkinson's, I said, well, you've got a block. Let's really, if we can unblock your pulses, we can get you feeling better. I believe that we can really offset this because it was just the beginning. And she was afraid of breaking up because of money. They were very wealthy, but she didn't want to get better because she finally got what she needed in this relationship. So sometimes it takes courage to be healthy because it may take changing something very vital and say, this isn't really working for me and we have to change something. And if the other person isn't willing to work on the relationship, then it may take big changes in order to, for her, it might be a loss of life and sooner than later because she's not wanting to shift. She's so
Yeah.
afraid. When you say, what is the ideal person to work with? It's someone who really wants to grow and blossom and be free in their own body because it takes work. We have to actually be willing to look at ourselves with not such a personal, maybe more unattached view of what we're holding on to is not being who we are. Is just simply holding on to it through family dynamics, through DNA, through something we don't even understand, or through something that's really obvious.
Wow.
being so mental all the time, being so mental and figuring it out. And it just stops us from letting go, you know? So being in touch on a level of what does it feel in my body? Where am I holding on to it? And that's, I think, what fascinates me. I chose to be more energy centric, looking at what's around us and what we're feeling and what's the energy is saying that allows for the freedom of that stuck energy, and then what replaces it is our natural flow. I don't think we have to work real hard at that. After we release the blockage, it's just there for us.
Yeah, it is definitely a shift in the energetic level when we can
Yeah,
have access to that flow that you just mentioned. It's life changing for sure.
it really is life changing, and because we start to see things differently. And that was the gift that Chinese medicine gave me, was that I began to see things from the standpoint of Chinese medicine. That's how I combine the intuitive healing if I'm going to do acupuncture. Like if I feel like the energy is not flowing, I could ask if I could read it. Or I put another needle in because I feel like the energy isn't flowing. So I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't it. We need to do a little bit more. And I'll put another, okay, this feels better. So I can use it with that. And that's really simple and easy and beautiful. I've done intuitive reading with the acupuncture, but for the viewpoint of, oh, wow, this isn't moving. Can I be with this? When we read it for a minute? For people who are open. No, that's not always just the case for people. Or the thing is that people don't always need that. There's one patient I'm working with who has been doing an excellent job just completely getting rid of her cancer. She had abdominal peritoneal cancer. She's actually on the other side of it. But sometimes I'll do intuitive readings with her to help her on some other levels. And then I do the acupuncture that's safe and good to release the energy of the cancer.
But what I'm really curious about with acupuncture is how does it work? Like, so the needles go in, you put needles in certain places and strategic places. How does that, how does it work?
Let's talk about it really simply on a couple of different levels. There's the organ level, and there's the channel level of pain that we have in our sinews, joints, and that sort of thing, right? So if I'm working with someone who has joint pain, I'm working differently than if I were working with somebody who has something happening with their organ. Say, like, I have a patient who has a dropped kidney, and he comes into acupuncture when his kidney levels, his function has dropped. And then I work on the organ level to increase his kidney function, right? So I would maybe do some kidney points, and maybe he has some other things going on, but I'm really focused on increasing his kidney function, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then there's the level of the channels having to do with pain in on the physical body. In Chinese medicine, there's this saying, where there's pain, there's blockage, and where there's blockage, there's pain. If you can clear the blockage from that channel, for example, with Chinese medicine is so excellent with soft tissue, epicondylitis, tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, for example. So if I can help the person to become pain free, and we can keep them pain free, then really what that's doing is helping the circulation in the body through that area. It's because we've released the blocks, but isn't say an overuse injury. So they keep coming back, and I keep working with them. In one situation, I talked to his spouse, and he had her working on his arm in between sessions, just doing some massage. Just because if we could keep him on that level of pain free for longer, then it's going to create quicker healing. So that's the idea: releasing the blockage, creating a pain free environment, and staying on it. And the longer we can do that, the lengthier time that that person can be pain free, then it goes into, oh, I don't have that anymore. That makes sense, right?
So that's great. Very helpful. Hi, Joe. This is Joe.
Hi, Bill.
Let's say, so I have a pain in my knee, on the inside of my knee, just to the right of
Okay.
my kneecap on my left leg. So if I came in to see you with, I have this pain in my knee, it's been going on for almost a year. It's not debilitating. I can still walk and ride my bike and do most activities. But if I try to sit like cross-legged in that position, how do you know if it's like a tear or I have to have surgery versus it's a blockage?
First of all, I would feel it and palpate it and see if you have like a tendon that's out of place or something that's structurally not tracking or in alignment. So I can feel it with that. I may not know. And if we don't get good success, if we're not getting progress, then you may need to go to Western medicine and have it evaluated.
I see.
And then that evaluation, they would say, oh, there's nothing we can do, or it's just this. And then you would know, okay, I'm going to keep going to acupuncture. After the treatment, a couple days goes by, like, it does feel better. Okay, for me, that is the telltale sign. You don't want people to keep coming to you if they're not improving.
Right.
And I feel like some people improve, like it's the match. It's great. This is like we know it's right. And other times they're like, they're still getting migraines. I'd like you to go see somebody who does kinesiology for nutrition because I think there's a nutritional component missing. If they're not holding adjustments like in chiropractic, but it would be the same in acupuncture. Oh, that helped for a day and then it was just right back where it was, or I don't have any improvement. Then I probably number one want to get a Western medicine evaluation if they don't have it already. Or number two, maybe send them to a different practitioner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to get the person back to health, and so trying acupuncture once or twice and seeing kind of how the person responds to it, and yeah, if it doesn't work, then move on to something else. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Sometimes the thing about acupuncture is there's a lot of different ways of working. There's with the whole body in general, a lot of different modalities in acupuncture. So I kind of like to stick with it a little bit and see this is their way that they respond best, or maybe they respond best to a different form of acupuncture. And sometimes I'll switch it up just depending on what's going on with them. But if I see results, I'm like, we got it. If we're like, I felt 10% better, I'm thinking, what else can I do? Like I might add in a little stimulation or cupping, or add in something that may work a little bit better because we're in discovery. It's discovery.
Yeah, yeah, you're kind
It's
of like a little bit of a detective.
and we should be. And a lot of times, if I come up to a case where I'm like stumped, where the normal herbs don't work and that kind of thing, I will just go do some research, ask another practitioner what they do, because I haven't treated that particular problem before, or because I'm feeling like they're not progressing the way I would like to see. But if I'm trying all of my normal antics and it always works and it's not working with this person, I want them to see someone else. The satisfaction is in seeing people get better.
Sure.
And if it's not with me, then it should be with someone else.
Good. Well, so we covered a little bit about acupuncture. We covered a little bit about intuitive healing. Is there anything else you want to share about what you're doing?
I think the thing with intuitive healing is that it is the way intuitive healing is very personal. And you really have to get permission with intuitive healing. I mean, people might say, are you reading me now? I'm like, no, I'm not reading you. It's a very personal thing. And I don't know if you've ever had someone just give you their input without you asking, but it doesn't feel really good. So the main thing is that we all have to be on board, and asking permission is just really fundamental. The relationship between patient and practitioner needs to be pristine in a way. Like the patient needs to be able to say, oh no, that's enough, or I'm good now, or that doesn't feel good, or that needle doesn't feel good. I've had someone say, well, how was that massage? It was so deep, it was so uncomfortable. I'd say, did you tell the practitioner? No. I
Hmm.
said, well, then it's kind of on you because you didn't communicate.
Exactly.
Now,
Yeah.
communicate and they don't listen, that's different. But if you're not communicating as a patient, then you're not an active participant. You're kind of victimizing yourself.
Right. And it's
Right.
probably, my guess is that when that happens, it's probably a pattern in their lives, in all areas of their lives, not just when you get a massage or whatever. It's probably happening in relationships and at work and other places too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very good point. And that's probably a big takeaway. I know for me, it's a lesson that I had to learn the hard way over the years. Why am I not getting what I want? Well, did you ask for what you wanted? Did you give them feedback about what they're doing that you want them to change? And well, no. Okay, well, they're not a mind reader. So
That,
that's,
or, also there's different practitioners that do different things too.
yes.
So maybe you have a practitioner that works deeply, and then you have another practitioner who works more energetically.
Mhm.
Oh, and then I was going to say, I do energy readings and clearings over the phone.
Okay.
All right.
All right, good. And how can people get in touch with you?
So Annalise@icloud.com.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining
Thank
me
you.
today, Annalise. It was great chatting with you. All right.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much.
All right.